Joining us now is Karl Schilling. He's the founder of a company called the Advocacy Network. Karl, welcome back to the program.
Thanks so much, Don. It's great to be with you today.
Now, Karl, today you want to talk about gold and silver. Tell us about that.
Yeah, especially in the climate we're in today, Don, with our economic climate. I think it's important that people start to look again at gold and silver. Due to supply and demand, we've always discussed gold and silver in terms of not speculative and not investment, but as a protective insurance policy, as it were, for future purchasing power, right? The history of gold and silver has shown over time that it's the most powerful tool we have to protect us from a weakening dollar or ultimately a zero value dollar. Not that that's ever going to happen, but just you should have that kind of hedge in your portfolio.
Well, it's kind of interesting is this week we have a new administration in the United States, and it's a 180-degree ideology change, so it can make some people kind of nervous.
Well, I think over the next 100 days, first of all, gold is at 1880, somewhere in that ballpark, okay? And that's an all-time high. In 2012, I think 1400, 1440 was about an all-time high. So when it comes to supply, I think what you're going to see is it's not the danger of gold being at 3,000 or 5,000 it's not a speculative issue. It's an issue of you not being able to afford to have that hedge. That insurance policy becomes too expensive at that point in time and you get shut out. So it's not even so much what you buy your gold and silver at. It's a matter of having it in your portfolio to be there as the insurance policy. You know, for almost 100 years, from 1834 to 1933, we had a gold standard. You know, and gold was pegged at $20.67 an ounce for those almost 100 years. But when you look at where we are today, we're at a point where you can print money willy-nilly. You can just print money all you want, right? So you have a total fiat economy. And stimulus never answers the issue of money velocity. You know, Dom, every time they do a stimulus, these huge amount of dollars, that the money will circulate, you know, and that you'll have the right money velocity. But it doesn't happen because much of that money sits in government programs that the money's not circulating. So when that happens, you have an inflationary issue. And how are you going to handle it? The real danger, I think, coming forward, another reason for gold and silver is Janet Yellen. She was a very, very positive proponent of negative interest rates. And quite frankly, looking towards the future, for us to be in negative interest rates would be a total disaster.
Well, you know, Karl, when the government prints money to do stimulus programs and do government spending, and we're spending $1 trillion more than we're taking in every year, I mean, their only cost basically is green ink.
And it can be zero. You know, people, I think, oftentimes mistake one of the common financial literacy issues is money versus currency. You know, and that people think they're the same. And they're just not the same. Gold and silver have hard asset value. They can never be zero. You know, the worst that a silver dollar, the worst it could ever be worth is $1.
Right.
That's the worst it could ever be, right? But it also has the intrinsic value. So obviously it has a higher value, right? Per ounce, you know, the actual material itself. But the dollar bill, a fiat dollar bill is not even really, it's a currency. It's a promise to pay. That's all it is. It's a note. It's actually a note. It's an IOU is really what it is. So we walk around with IOUs in our pocket, and at some point, those IOUs could be valueless.
Well, Karl, for people who are watching us right now and are saying to themselves, Karl's making an awful lot of sense. What's the best way to get involved in gold and silver?
Well, we deal, because you know the Advocacy Network, our role, Don, is to make sure that we eliminate all forms of financial victimization. So we deal with several very, very strong professional private dealers who we vetted and we deal with all the time. It's good to stay away from the advertisers. You know, I won't name them, don't want to name them, but you see them on TV all the time. They spend millions of dollars advertising. They can't make enough money selling you bullion or selling you what you really need in order to pay for their advertising, let alone make a profit.
Right.
So we don't deal in numismatics. We can help you if you are in numismatics. We can help you, but we don't really bait and switch. So all we're talking about is solid gold and silver bullion, really good stuff, 1933 as well, to get it into your portfolio. That's all. 10% to 15% of your financial portfolio should be in this kind of vehicle.
If people want more information, how can they get in touch with you, Karl?
They can call me direct on. I'm sure you will put up the phone number 321-947-3220. And obviously find me on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook, and you have they can come to theadvocacynet.com.
Once again, Karl Schilling, founder of the Advocacy Network. We're talking gold and silver. Sound advice. Karl, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate the time.